thrilled to be here with you tonight and so honored that I was invited. I know you all have such an amazing lineup of speakers and topics, and I am just so honored to be able to be here with you tonight here. I'm a board member of the Indiana Historic Pathways, and Tina Ligman is here tonight, and she's also a board member. And I'm also a board member of the National Scenic Byway Association. But first and foremost, my husband came with me tonight. Tim is here. I'm a wife, and I'm a retired teacher. And I got several friends here in the audience. I'm just thrilled to have you all here. I just thank you so much for your support. I'm also a volunteer with the Indiana Landmarks, and I'm a tour guide at the French Lick Resort there. I'm also, after we retired, I started writing nonfiction, and I also write Christian devotionals. But tonight, I want to tell you about when I traveled Indiana's historic pathways just June of this year, and I want to tell you about that trip I took here. And let's see. Tomorrow is Veterans Day, and I want you to know every place I traveled along our pathways in southern Indiana, every community honored their veterans, either with banners, monuments, celebrations. This one happens to be in Orleans, in the town square there. And I know Tina is a veteran. What branch of service were you, Tina? Army. Do we have other veterans in the audience here? Great. What branch of service were you, Brad?
I was in the Air Force and the Army. I was a dog handler in both.
Wow. And you, sir?
I was in the Marine Corps, infantry and security. I opened up Kings Bay Submarine Base in 1988.
Wow. Well, thank you all so much for your service and being here tonight. And we're going to celebrate you tomorrow also for Veterans Day. We're so excited. Yeah. And I wanted to mention that today, November 10th, is the 250th anniversary of the Marine Corps. And that's a photo of my dad. Marines, when they take their picture, usually are not smiling so big like that. My dad was so thrilled that he got accepted into the Marine Corps. He was in the World War II for 4 years, but he was a Marine for the rest of his life, you know. So I dedicate this to my dad. Well, my dad has been gone several years now, and but whenever we would take a Sunday drive in his old car, gravel roads, back roads of rural Missouri, he would wear his pressed slacks, shined up shoes. I mean, he was dressed to the nines, you know. So I just honor those veterans, and also my dad as a Marine there. Well, Scenic Byway of Indiana's Historic Pathway became a scenic byway in 2004, a state byway. And Tina there was very instrumental in getting that done. It went with the early transportation routes, and you had Highway 50, Highway 150, and the old Buffalo Trace. And that was our state byway there. It's about 250 miles. And Highway 50 is just not Indiana. Highway 50 extends all the way west to Sacramento, California, and all the way east to Ocean City, Maryland. So Highway 50 is just not an Indiana highway. And Highway 150 extends from Illinois all the way to Louisville, Kentucky, there. Now in 2009, Indiana's Historic Pathways became a national byway. Now that is a big deal. There's only 184 roads in the U.S. that are national byways. So our national byway Indiana's historic pathways is Highway 50, it's Highway 150, but not the Buffalo Trace. However, parts of Highway 150 are the Buffalo Trace. Now here's our logo that we have. Indiana Department of Transportation installed all of these beautiful signs. I'm trying to wear the colors tonight. So, and we had a contest where the logo with the bison on it, and that has confused so many people. Because Highway 50, with these beautiful signs on it, people think, oh, that was also the Buffalo Trace. However, not so. But we are very honored to be a national byway here. Now, why in the world would Glenda have Golden Corral up here?
They're going to give us a free meal tomorrow night from 4 to 8 right here in Bedford.
Did you hear that? Okay, good. That's another reason. Well, when I traveled Indiana's historic pathway in June, there were so many things I saw. It's like stepping into a Golden Corral with the meat, rolls, gotta have the rolls, sides, soup, seafood, salad, and dessert, and wanting a full helping, a full-size helping of everything. Just not possible. The same thing with our Indiana's historic pathway. I have never loved Southern Indiana so much as when I traveled along our pathways. There's just so much to see there. In fact, there is so much to see that the Buffalo Trace, Tina and I will be giving a separate talk about that November 25th at the Otis Park there. And furthermore, there's so much to see along our byway that I'm giving a talk about the 50 historical sites, and that's going to be at the Catfish Festival, July the 4th, 2026, as part of Indiana's 250th anniversary there. Now this is, we are here, right there at Bedford. And this shows Highway 50, Highway 150, and then the broken line is the Buffalo Trace there. And so tonight, I'm going to take you on 3 routes, starting in Bedford each time. No GPS required. All you have to do is stay on Highway 50 or Highway 150. You will see so much just along those highways. And many of these are just like a day trip or so. And again, I had to go through and just choose some of the sites, or we would have been here till midnight, you know, telling everything about it. So I've just picked certain things to share with you. And tonight, when we get finished, please take home one of the maps. Also take as many brochures as you like, because my husband does not want to carry these back home. So, so let's get started. Highway 50 East. We'll step right out here of the museum and start on the highway going east here. Lawrence County, of course. And what better place to stop? Right here at the band shell. 1939, constructed by the Work Progress Administration, otherwise known as the WPA, 2-story shell made entirely of limestone. And it's believed to be the only one of its kind built by the WPA in the nation. All the stone was cut right there on site using a special pattern to make those beautiful archways that you see. Highway 50, you gotta know about the Hoosier National Forest. Now, Tina retired from the Forest Service. So Hoosier National Forest, 204,000 acres managed by the Forest Service. It's composed of 4 sections. It has trails, virgin forest, a lookout tower, which Tina can tell you more about that anytime, and the only, get this, the only wilderness area left in Indiana. Now this photo here is of the Pioneer Mothers Memorial in Paoli. And it almost looks like I could have taken this picture this morning. But this, it is an oak tree forest. It is a national natural landmark. And I encourage you to learn more about that area. As you're traveling 50 east, come to Jackson County. And one of my favorite spots is Medora Covered Bridge. My husband and I go there for their Covered Bridge dinner every year in August there. This was built 1875 by J.J. Daniels. It is the longest historic covered bridge in the U.S. And some dispute that too, but it is 431 feet 10 inches long, and it's over the East Fork of the White River. It was built in 9 months. And it covers, the reason why it was built, it covers the trusses to keep them out of the bad weather there. Now, US 50 used to go right across that bridge. Really? It was set to be demolished, but Governor Whitcomb at that time saved it. Now, the curved arches are in 6 sections, and each section is made from a single tree. They used to have a sign-in ledger at the front of the covered bridge. There were people from all over the United States that would come, and other countries that would come and see this bridge. And then in Seymour, this is Freeman Airfield. I thought this was be a good one to show tonight here. It was built during World War II as a twin-engine training facility. And it was named after a pilot, Captain Richard Freeman, who was born in Indiana and graduated from West Point. Over 4,000 pilots graduated from this program. And after the war, the airfield was donated to Seymour, and it's now an airport with 4 runways, and other businesses occupy the buildings that are there. But one, I would say 2 or 3 of the buildings have the museum, and all the artifacts from World War II were in there. Now you come to Jennings County, and do not drive fast through this little town. This town is called Hayden, an amazing museum there. This is Governor Whitcomb's office in the museum. And the governor was born in Hayden and lived and respected a lot of that town for the rest of his life there. Now, when I got there that day, the museum was closed. So I just walked around the outside of the building. There's an old gas station there. There's farm equipment. There's a monument to Governor Whitcomb there. I was just about ready to leave, and one of the volunteers showed up and took me on a personal tour inside and in their music building, full of music boxes. And I don't know how many of you remember Life magazine.
Yep.
Every Life magazine that was ever printed is on display there. You can pick the one up of the year you were born and have your photo taken with it there. And the town of North Vernon has an amazing county park and a wildlife refuge. And I'm going to try to pronounce the name. Somebody help me. Muskatuck. Yay, thank you. The park has an old stone cutting mill. It has a campground. It has miles of mountain biking trails. And it was named for the land of winding waters. And then the wildlife refuge is even more amazing there. It's the home to trumpeter swans that were from Canada. In order to bring the swans to this area of Indiana, an ultralight plane flew the trumpeter swans and guided them to this part of Indiana. And then you have Ripley County. Basketball, anybody? This is the Basketball Museum. The small town basketball team that won the state high school championship in 1954 against that big city team. Muncie, right. So their victory inspired the movie Hoosiers, which was written by Angelo Pizzo. And he came to Paoli. I actually got to meet him. But the museum has all kinds of memorabilia from that team and also from the movie. And just a wonderful place to go visit. In the beautiful town of Versailles, this is the Tyson Temple United Methodist Church. And the day that I was visiting, I wanted to go inside and take some photos. It was closed, but somebody just happened to drive by. And the unofficial town historian gave me a tour. So this is built in 1937. And it's made of stone, glazed and glass brick, terracotta, concrete, steel, but not any nails. The last county on this part of Highway 50, Dearborn County, Aurora. Hill Forest Mansion. It overlooks the Ohio River. It was built in 1855. 12 rooms. Now my husband and I, what do we have? Maybe 4 or 5 rooms. It's hard to keep that clean, you know. 12 rooms. It's built into a hillside. In the back, you will notice that. Inside, when you have a tour, you'll see the flying staircase. That is just like one on an old steamboat there. It was the home of Thomas Gath, and he established a distillery there in Aurora. Now, also you must know that Hill Forest Mansion is not owned by the state. It's a Hill Forest Foundation, so they depend heavily on donations there. And I just happened to meet one of those ladies that raises funds for the mansion. I met her Saturday, and she's saying all the activities they have. So go on their website or Facebook and look those up. My tour guide for the day, years before that, I think she had celebrated her 50th wedding anniversary. When she got married, her reception was in the dining room of this mansion. She said she had no idea when she grew up that she would be a tour guide in this mansion. And then the last stop on this part is the Doubletree Hilton Hotel. Such a beautiful location. It overlooks the Ohio River, and then the other side of it overlooks the downtown area. And there's all kinds of paved trails for walking and biking. And you can see the clocks. Those are 12-foot clocks. One faces the river, one faces downtown. And also they have made smokestacks that symbolizes their river heritage. And you must know, when you stay there at the hotel, the clocks, they have bells. They chime every hour. And also they have an amazing monument of first responders and all branches of service. They have monuments there. Just an amazing location. Well, that was Highway 50 East. What a wonderful trip that was. But we're not done yet. Highway 50 West. Step outside here, the museum, and we're going to go west here. Starting in Lawrence County, just a little ways off the Highway 50, Spring Mill. And this is a before picture. You have to go to Spring Mill and see the after of this beautiful mill that's been restored. It has just won the 2025 Indiana Landmarks Renaissance Award for their restoration project of the 1939 limestone inn that was done, which I have eaten at last week and got a tour of the inn there. And the mill has been restored so that you can get freshly ground cornmeal again. And Tina there happens to be a member of the Friends of Spring Mill, too. Now, also when you travel Highway 50, you're going to go into Martin County and their amazing museum. This courthouse, which was a courthouse before a museum, it was built in 1876, and it replaced the one that had burned down. And Shoals was the county seat for just 7 years, and they decided to build this beautiful courthouse there. It's made of sandstone. I must say it's local sandstone and also red brick. It was the courthouse until 2002 there. It was the 9th county seat in Martin County, so they changed around quite a bit there. And somebody mentioned this local spot just a while ago, Jug Rock. It's a natural sandstone formation, 60 feet high, 20 feet diameter. It stands alone, and it's one of the most puzzling stand rocks in the United States. No support around it. The only place you might see stand rocks is in the west. Davies County. Now, do not go through this town real quick. You've got to notice some amazing things about Montgomery. This is St. Peter's Catholic Church. 1818, they established a parish in Montgomery. It's the second oldest parish in Indiana. Anybody know the oldest? Vincennes. Right, Vincennes, right. Now, this church was built in 1869. One of the oldest pastors was Father Edwin Sorin, S-O-R-I-N. He had an idea to build a college. He wanted to build a college here in Montgomery, but his bishop persuaded him to go more north. And that's how we got Notre Dame University. And in Washington, I've selected this to show you because of our early transportation routes of the railroad. And the B&O Railroad, the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, used to be the Ohio and Mississippi Railroad. And it changed in 1893, and today it's the CSX Railroad. And that beautiful depot there, that was built in 1906, still being used today for several different purposes there. Now, Knox County has so much history also, and I just had to pick a couple things, but if you want to know more about the history, come to the Catfish Festival next year. Vincennes, Red Skelton Museum of American Comedy. My husband and I, one of our favorite places to go there. He was born in 1913, became a TV actor, movie star, comedian, radio star also. He said, no matter what your heartache may be, laughing helps you forget it in a few seconds. Now, his home is still there where he lived for a time as a young boy, but the museum has lots of interactive exhibits there, and Red Skelton was quite an artist. He painted clowns, lots of clowns, and that is me over there. I'm not dressed as a clown, but I'm holding the painting that is a print signed by Red Skelton, and I won that at an auction. So that's hanging up in our house there. Mrs. Skelton, still alive, she donates truckloads of materials every year to the museum. And just on Sunday, my husband and I are attending the grand opening of the Fine Art Gallery, where there'll be nothing but paintings by Red and some other paintings that he collected there.
You want to know how old is she?
She was much younger than Red, so she's now in her 80s. So.
His second wife.
Yes. And a lovely lady, lovely, very personable and gracious. Yeah.
We have a nice parade there every summer.
Oh,
The Red Skelton Parade.
oh yes, it's so much fun. Yeah.
If you hate clowns, don't go. It's a parade of clowns.
And in Vincennes, the Indiana Military Museum. My husband and I discovered that museum one year. It has collections of military items starting with the American Revolution to the present day. Now, I'm pictured on a submarine. This is just the sail of the USS Indianapolis 697, named after the USS Indianapolis ship, which sank in 1945. And outside, they have so many items out there. I mean, if you get lost trying to find the museum, just look for the submarine and the planes and things, and you'll be able to find it. Red Skelton's Army uniform is in the museum there, too. Well, that was Highway 50 West. The last stop here is Highway 150 East. And as you can tell, each one of these could be a little day trip. If you wanted to spend the night, fine, 2-day trip, but very doable. So we're going to take Highway 150, but we'll have to travel Highway 50 first. So, Green Hill Cemetery, one of the most amazing places to just take a walking tour. They have a QR code at the entrance, of course. I still have my paper brochure that I follow, Anybody volunteer or work at the Green Hill Cemetery?
I do periodic tours, so if you've got a group, I'll give you a tour.
Always so interesting.
Tours there are great.
And my husband is an avid golfer. And I wanted to show this, this monument of Tom Barton. And there's a golf ball up there by his clubs. And my husband did not put that up there. It was already up there when I took the picture here. Tom is in his 1930s clothing. And that is, I understand it, it's made of granite. Here.
He worked for Indiana Limestone, but he did not want his tombstone to be made out of limestone.
Is that right?
That's right.
And the Lewis Baker Monument is the replica of the stone carver's bench of the day he passed away. His fellow stonecutters recreated his bench there, and always a favorite spot to stop at. Okay, traveling 50 still, we're going to enter Martin County again, and Hinduston Falls. What a mystery place to go visit. And I might mention that shelter house there has just been constructed, so just a really beautiful shelter house there with the information about Hinduston Falls. This area was called the hidden gem of natural beauty. It's the widest falls in Indiana with the highest volume of water. And it was located at the falls of the East Fork of the White River. So many, many travelers came through this area. In fact, it was named the county seat in the 1820s. And because of all the travelers from many different areas coming through, there was a great sickness that struck the residents in 1828. Many of the residents died or moved away, and now there is no settlements there at all. Indiana owns the 134 acres here. Now, there are legends of buried treasure, but there are 128 holes in the flat rock where the grist mills were located. And Shoals, you gotta love the Catfish Festival there. When they have the Catfish Festival, the queen of the festival has to kiss the largest catfish that had been caught. Now, I looked up some records. The record for the blue catfish caught in the Ohio River is 104 pounds. And the record for the flathead catfish caught in the White River is 79 pounds. Now, shoals, that name can mean two things. One of the meaning is like a number of fish swimming together. And another meaning for shoals is a place where the water is shallow. And also White River, it makes those white caps on the waves, and White River was named from the Miami, Illinois Indians. There. Continue 150 east, and you'll enter into Orange County. Now, those are my feet up there. West Baden Springs, once known for its mineral springs, and after a fire, the hotel was built in 1 year, 1901 to 1902. And it was billed as the 8th wonder of the world. And I think the owner probably promoted that. It's a 6-story free-span dome, 200 feet by 100 feet. And at one time, it was an Army hospital, a Jesuit seminary, and a college. And before it was restored, starting in 1996, with the Partners Cook Group and Indiana Landmarks. And my husband and I highly recommend the chocolate dome dessert. Order that first, and then order your main meal after that. Now, Paoli Courthouse just celebrated 175 years anniversary. Now, this is the before picture. Go and see what it looks like now after they've repaired the damage from the 2024 tornado. Or were there 2 tornadoes? No, there were 3 tornadoes that came through Paoli that year. It's one of the oldest working courthouses in Indiana. The other oldest is the Rising Sun Courthouse there. It's a Greek Revival architecture, and it was built from 1847 to 1850. The tornado damaged the roof, the chimneys, and the clock tower. That crane they brought in to replace the clock tower is on a YouTube video that you can pull up to watch. It is just incredible to see that. It kind of swayed with the wind. And now, when you get to this part of 150, it's like the burgers, you know? It's all of these towns with burg and 2 sides of burg, you know? So I'm going to talk about the first 3 here. And we're going to go to Washington County, but it's just the corner of Washington County where the Highway 150 goes through. Here's Hardinsburg. I don't know if you've ever noticed when you went through there, they've got the huge Ace hardware store. And of course, they got a Dollar General store. But Dave Davis has a horse training center there. Now, Dave sings, composes songs, trains horses, and this is called Roman style riding. Fredericksburg has this incredible Blue River, Indiana's first natural scenic river. 30 miles of waterway, and it's considered one of Indiana's purest streams, and it's spring-fed river there. And also, I wanted to mention that when you can do canoeing, kayaking, and this business, the old mill rental, is owned by a family since 1971. You can take a 1-day trip or a 2-day trip. And I might mention also the Blue River is where the Buffalo Trace crossed through. And you can find out more about that from Tina and I later. Again, Harrison County has so much history with Corydon, all that history, but it's just the corner of Harrison County. Palmyra. Now, this is their old Buffalo Trace sign. Their newer one is right along the highway, but when I went into the park, I really liked this old sign here with the little buffalo or bison to ride on there. But this is 30 acres at the Buffalo Trace Park. It's a man-made lake. You can go swimming in it, fishing, camping. There's a canoe rental, paddle boats, walking trail, petting zoo, lots of shelter houses and picnic tables, and a pickleball court. Now, also in Palmyra, they're known for their stagecoach route. The stagecoach route went all the way from New Albany to Vincennes. And here at Palmyra, they changed horses here. And this was one of their stagecoach stops. Now, this stagecoach is not one that was in Indiana. When I was visiting in Missouri, Tina, I visited a display of stagecoach, and there they had the name Palmyra on it, which meant another state, not Indiana, but I thought it was pretty cool. 1820s, and the horses would change over here. Then when they stopped using the stagecoach and built the road, the Highway 150 through here, a restaurant was built at Palmyra called the Stagecoach. I don't know if anybody's ever eaten there. The building is still there, and it's still a restaurant, just not the Stagecoach restaurant. But legend has it that a famous singer stopped there on her bus tour to eat. You might know her, Dolly Parton. And she was on her way in 1972 to perform at the Harrison County Fair in Corydon. And I bet you anything, she had her singing partner, Porter Wagner, with her that day. I wish somebody could verify that they really ate there. And we get into Floyd County, and again, this little bitty town, Greenville, has so much history to it. This is Greenville Station on the left there. It used to be a saddle shop. It was a store at one time and also a stagecoach stop. But the owner, John Ford, started developing plate glass. And he was so successful, he left this area, went to Pittsburgh, and formed the Pittsburgh Plate Glass Company and made his fortune there with that. And also, just down the road, there is the Red Wire Company, and they have 10 locations in the United States, one in England, but they do space flight research and space defense. You have to look them up on their website. It's just incredible. I have a friend whose son works for this company here. So when you go through Greenville, here you got the past, you got the future there. New Albany, again, has so much history. I've just chosen to show you this. This is a Second Baptist church, and the tower there can be seen across the Ohio River into Kentucky. So that was a beacon of hope to anybody escaping slavery in Kentucky there. Now, up on the right there, that is one of the old original wooden clocks. Of course, there were 4 of them, and this is the one that survived, but it's in the back of the church in a gazebo up in the ceiling there. They also have a small garden back there that honors the Underground Railroad. And the last county, the last one here, Charlestown has a monument dedicated in the cemetery. This is not really Jonathan Jennings' gravesite. It's just a monument honoring him. He was the first governor of Indiana, 1816. Quite an amazing life to read about him, from his humble beginnings to an area around Charlestown also, and his fight for keeping Indiana from having slaves. And he was in much opposition to other politicians in the area, but interesting to read about him. And the last stop, Clarksville, the Falls of the Ohio. This is an area where they say the buffalo crossed the Ohio River. It's 220 acres of exposed fossil beds, and the center just has been restored and reopened. You walk in there, and there's a full-size mammoth skeleton there, and hands-on exhibits for all ages. And the river, at this point, over 2.5 miles, it falls 26 feet. So you can see where there would have been a shallow area during certain times of the year where the buffalo could cross into Kentucky here. That brings me to the end. And be sure to take home a map. And my husband says take home more than one brochure because you don't want to carry those home. And thank you, Lawrence County Museum of History, so much for inviting me to come tonight. Thank you so much. Thanks.